Welcome to you all to this session. Now we'll start the second chapter of your B.Sc first semester Zoology, that is Kingdom Protista, or it is also called as Kingdom Protozoa. In this chapter you are going to study about the general characters of phylum Protozoa and classification of Protozoa up to classes with suitable examples. So you already studied in your lower classes about phylum Protozoa, right? What kind of organisms are coming under this phylum? So Protozoa, before going to the general characters, you should know the meaning of Protozoa. Protos means primitive. Zone or zoa means animals. So what kind of animals these are? These are primitive kind of animals. So they are microscopic, eukaryotic. These are microscopic, eukaryotic, unicellular organisms. Microscopic means they are very minute, invisible to the naked eye, and they are eukaryotic. Prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Eukaryotic means they have well defined nucleus and membrane bound organelles are also present, and they are unicellular, made up of single cell. Then coming to, they are either solitary or colonial. Now what do you mean by this solitary or colonial? Solitary means they exist in individual form. They live individually or as well as they are found in living in colonies. Next coming to, they are commonly motile. What do you mean by motile? Motile means they are having locomotion or movement, and they are phagocytic in nature. This is very important term. Phagocytic means they engulf the food particle which is present in their surrounding. They engulf that, digest it. That is called as phagocytic. And heterotrophic animals. As you know, all animals are heterotrophic in nature. Heterotrophic means they are depending on others to obtain their food, is called heterotrophic mode of nutrition. So they are microscopic, eukaryotic, unicellular, solitary or colonial. Motile means they are having movement. Phagocytic, they engulf the digested food from the environment, and they are heterotrophic animals. The term protozoa was coined by This term was coined by a scientist called as Goldfuss. Coined this term protozoa. There are about 50,000 species of protozoa. How many? 50,000 species discovered so far in the kingdom protozoa, and which are found in soil or in moist places, in the sea, etc. So how many species are discovered so far? 50,000 species of protozoa have been discovered, and they are found in different habitats like in moist areas, in water, soil, etc. Now we'll see the general characters. Of phylum Protozoa. This is some of the most basic features you can tell. Most basic common features we have seen now. Now this is the general characters. They are small microscopic animalcules. Small microscopic animalcules, or animals you can say. Now the different levels of organization. There is cellular level, tissue level, organ level, organ system level, up till biomes. We have already seen in the biodiversity chapter, right? So these have cellular level of organization. Which level? They have cellular level of organization. As you know, they are microscopic. Their size varies from a micrometer to size varies from a micrometer to few millimeters. Micrometers to few millimeters. And as their cellular level of organization, they do not have tissues and organs. So, no tissues and organs, because they are very primitive microscopic organisms with only cellular level of organization. Means their body is made up of only cell, that too unicellular. You can see here, single celled organisms, right? So there are no tissues and organs. Next, the protoplasm formed here. Protoplasm. By protoplasm only the cell organelles are formed. Cell organelles are formed by protoplasm. Next, coming to, there is no division of labor. There is no division of labor. This is the most important point. Now, what do you mean by division of labor? Labor means doing work. As you know, in cell, the different cell organelles performing different functions. Division of labor means every organelle performs different functions. Now, for example, in an industry, there are so many workers are working. What do? The work has been divided among people to perform their activities. Similarly, division of labor means the work is being divided into different parts. But here there is no division of labor, means all the functions is carried by only one cell, because they are unicellular organisms. So there is no division of labor. The body is bounded by plasma membrane. Body is surrounded by plasma membrane. Plasma membrane, that is, and the rigidity of the body. Rigidity of the body depends on the nature of cytoskeleton. That plasma membrane gives structural support to the body, and rigidity is due to nature of exoskeleton, or you can say cytoskeleton. Cyto means cell. Cyto is cell. Next, coming to, they may be free living. They may be free living, or they may be parasitic, or they may live as symbiotic association. Free living, parasitic, symbiotic, or you can say, what is free living now? Free living means they are available freely, living, moving here and there in the water bodies. Parasitic means they are depending on the other organisms. Symbiotic means they are associated with other organisms. Parasitic is they are both ecto and endoparasitic. Ecto and endoparasitic. Now you know parasites are the organisms which are depending on the host to obtain their nutrition, are called parasitic. Ecto means they are depending on the organism outside the body of the host. Endo means they are living inside the body of the animal, so it is called endoparasitic. Next, body may be, the shape of the body may be oval, spherical, or elongated. Body may be oval, spherical, or elongated, or even flattened also you can say. Flattened. Next character is cytoplasm. As you know, there are three main parts of a cell: membrane, nucleus, and cytoplasm. Cytoplasm is divided into outer ectoplasm and inner endoplasm. Cytoplasm is the most important organelle of the cell because it is having all the organelles embedded in it. Cytoplasm It has outer ectoplasm and inner endoplasm. And inner endoplasm has various organelles like nucleus, Golgi bodies. So many characteristics are there. Then protozoans have one or more nuclei. They have one or more nuclei. That is, they are called monomorphic or dimorphic. Mono means single. Monomorphic or dimorphic means some have one nucleus, some have two nuclei. Monomorphic or dimorphic. We will study about this in detail while we are studying about the classification. Different classes are there. They will come to know how many nucleus are there, mono or dimorphic. In case of dimorphic means two nucleus are there. That is, one is vesicular containing considerable nucleoplasm. Second one is compact containing very little nucleoplasm. Now, what is this nucleoplasm? Cytoplasm of the nucleus is called nucleoplasm. Once again, cytoplasm of the nucleus is called nucleoplasm. So, nucleoplasm is little. In compact, in vesicular it is containing high amount of nucleoplasm. Then coming to, there are three types of locomotory structures in phylum Protozoa. The animals of phylum Protozoa have three types of locomotory structures. That is cilia, flagella and pseudopodia. There are three types of locomotory structures in phylum Protozoa: cilia, flagella and pseudopodia. And this is the reason, this is the basis for classification of phylum Protozoa into different classes, subphylum, classes, superclass, order, etc. depending on the type of the locomotory organs or locomotory structures. Cilia, flagella and pseudopodia. Now we will see nutrition. What type of nutrition you find in phylum Protozoa? Nutrition may be holozoic. I'll rub this. Nutrition is holozoic. As in humans we have holozoic mode of nutrition, that is ingestion, digestion, absorption, assimilation and egestion. So nutrition may be holozoic. Nutrition may be holozoic. Holozoic means like animals, like holozoic, and holophytic also. Holophytic. Phyta means plant. Zoa means animals. Holophytic in plants. Holozoic like in animals. Holophytic in case of plants. And also saprozoic. Saprozoic. Now, what do I mean by saprophytic organisms? The organisms which are depending on dead and decaying organic matter are called as saprophytes, and the mode of nutrition is called saprophytic nutrition, and here we call it as saprozoic nutrition. Depend on dead organic matter. Next coming to, and as we already discussed, they are parasitic also. Parasitic. They are depending on the host body to obtain their nutrition. So holozoic, holophytic, saprozoic and parasitic. All these are heterotrophic mode of nutrition. As they are heterotrophs, so these are all types of heterotrophic nutrition. Digestion occurs intracellular. Digestion is intracellular. Now, what do you mean by intracellular and extracellular digestion? Intracellular means digestion takes place inside the cell, but inside the cell only. And extracellular means outside the cell but inside the body. So here it is, digestion is intracellular within a food vacuole. Within a food vacuole, and with the help of enzymes produced by lysosomes. Lysosomes are called suicide bags of the cell. What do? They digest the food material, and digestion is intracellular through food vacuole. Next, coming to, and they engulf this food particle by pseudopodia. Engulf the food by pseudopodia. Next, coming to respiration, excretion, excretion, it all occurs by their general body surface, and ejection of waste is by general body surface. Now, excretion is the removal of nitrogenous waste from the body, and you already studied in your PUC level that depending on the type of nitrogenous waste, animals are classified into ammonotelic, ureotelic and uricotelic. Here these protozoans are ammonotelic. Ammonotelic means the nitrogenous waste mainly contains ammonia, and many protozoans remove the nitrogenous waste by process called as osmoregulation. Osmoregulation by contractile vacuoles. The different types of vacuoles: contractile vacuoles, food vacuoles, gaseous vacuoles. So they excrete the nitrogenous waste, or maintaining of water balance in the body is maintained by contractile vacuoles, that is called as osmoregulation. Next, coming to cyclosis. What do you mean by this cyclosis? It is the streaming movement of cytoplasm through streaming movement of cytoplasm in cilia, flagella. The locomotive structures, whenever they are moving or using for locomotion, there is cyclosis or streaming movements to move here and there. Next, coming to, these protozoans are very, very sensitive to different environmental conditions. Now we will see which are those. They are sensitive to temperature, sensitive to touch, sensitive to light, sensitive to chemical substances. So these protozoans are sensitive to many kinds of stimuli. Sensitive to many kinds of stimuli. First one, sensitive to touch, is called thigmotrophic. Thigmotrophic means it is sensitive to touch. Second one, phototrophic. Phototrophic means it is, or organisms are sensitive to light. Photo means light. Next, thermotrophic. Thermotrophic. Thermo means temperature. They are sensitive to temperature. And number 4, this chemotrophic means they are sensitive to chemicals. Sensitive to chemicals. Now, what are these? Sensitive to many stimuli means response to stimuli. There are so many changes occurring in the environment. Temperature is there, water is there, light is there, chemicals are there. So they are responding to this stimuli in different ways. So they are called as thigmotrophic, phototrophic, thermotrophic and chemotrophic protozoans. Next, coming to intercellular signaling, chemical signaling. Intercellular chemical signaling, that is called as pheromones. They release certain chemical substances for sexual attraction. They are called as pheromones, such as serotonin, beta endorphin, etc. These are released by the body for sexual attraction. So they are called as pheromones. They are attracting the opposite sex. So they are called as pheromones or chemical signaling. Now, most important topic we have come now, that is reproduction. You know, biological process where organisms give birth to young ones. So what is the mode of reproduction in protozoans? They reproduce asexually as well as sexually. Asexual reproduction, we already studied in our PUC level, but again we will discuss. Asexual is a mode of reproduction where it is uniparental and there is no formation and fusion of gametes. Once again, there is no formation and fusion of gametes in asexual mode of reproduction, and the offsprings produced are exactly similar to their parents. You remember that. So they are called as clones. Whereas sexually reproducing organisms are biparental, there is formation and fusion of gametes and fertilization takes place. So asexually they reproduce by binary and multiple fission. Binary and multiple fission by budding or sporulation. Budding or sporulation, and sexual reproduction by gamete formation. Gametes are the sex cells produced from gonads by gamete formation. The process of gamete formation is called gametogenesis. You already know gametogenesis is the process of formation of gametes in the gonads. There are two types of gametogenesis, two types in that, spermatogenesis and oogenesis. And conjugation of adults, gamete formation and conjugation of adults. These two methods are coming under sexual mode of reproduction. Conjugation means coming close together of the adults and how they reproduce or produce the young ones. Next, coming to about the life cycle. Now we have seen the reproduction, right? That is, they reproduce both by asexual and sexual methods. Asexual by binary fission, multiple fission, budding, sporulation. Sexual method is by gamete formation and conjugation of adults. Now what about the life cycle? If you see different types are there. So that type of life cycle is called alternation of generation. So life cycle shows alternation of generation, that is diplontic life cycle. This we'll discuss in detail while studying the life cycle of different organisms in detail, like Plasmodium, life cycle of Plasmodium, Vivax, Entamoeba histolytica. So life cycle, how is the life cycle of protozoans in general? Because these are all the general characters of phylum Protozoa. So all characters or all the things what you have studied here is applicable to all the organisms in general. So life cycle shows alternation of generation, and it includes asexual and sexual phase. As we already discussed, it includes asexual and sexual phases. So this is about the general characters of phylum Protozoa, about their mode of nutrition, where they are available, eukaryotic, unicellular, mode of nutrition, digestion, respiration, excretion, then coming to sensitive to many stimuli. Then we have seen digestion is by food vacuole or by pseudopodia. Then come to cyclosis, osmoregulation, most important, amnotelic, and reproduction is by asexual and sexual, and they have another important function called as intercellular chemical signaling by releasing of pheromones which contain chemicals called serotonin and beta endorphin. If they ask you write the general characters of phylum Protozoa, then you have to write all these characters in detail. So we have seen the general characters of phylum Protozoa. Now we will come to the classification, entire classification of phylum Protozoa. As you can see here, the phylum Protozoa is divided into 4 subphyla. Phylum is singular, phyla means plural. So it is divided into 4 subphyla. Number 1 is Sarcomastigophora, Second, Sporozoa. Number 3, Nidospora. C is silent. Nidospora. And number 4 is Coeliophora. Kingdom Protozoa is divided into 4 subphylum, that is Sarcomastigophora, Sporozoa, Nidospora and Coeliophora. Now coming to Sarcomastigophora. This Sarcomastigophora, the locomotor organ here is either flagella or pseudopodia. The organisms belonging to this superclass or subphyla Sarcomastigophora, they locomote by flagella or pseudopodia. They reproduce by binary fission, multiple fission and sexually by syngamy. Then coming to the other characters, like they have pseudopodia, flagella and reproduction is by syngamy or there is sexual reproduction, and they are single type of nucleus, so it is called monomorphic, as I already told you about monomorphic and dimorphic. So these animals have locomotor organs called flagella and pseudopodia, single nucleus called monomorphic, and they reproduce by binary fission and multiple fission. Next, this Sarcomastigophora in turn is divided into 3 superclasses. Subphyla Sarcomastigophora is divided into 3 superclasses. Number 1, Mastigophora, Opellinata and Sarcodina. Once again, Mastigophora, Opellinata and Sarcodina. If you come to Mastigophora, Mastigophora are commonly called as flagellates. What they are called as flagellates? Because they locomote with the help of flagella, and body is covered by pellicle. In Mastigophora, body is covered by pellicle. Next, coming to Opellinata. The example for Opellinata is Opellina. Example is Opellina. So again, the superclass Mastigophora is divided into 2 classes, Phytomastigophoria and Zoomastigophoria. Once again, the superclass Mastigophora is divided into 2 classes, Phytomastigophoria and Zoomastigophoria. So, superclass Mastigophora is divided into 2 classes, Phytomastigophoria and Zoomastigophoria. Phyto means they have plant-like characters. What are the characteristics of plants here? Means they have chlorophyll. They bear chlorophyll and they have 1 or 2 nucleus and locomote by flagella or pseudopodia, and the reserve food material is starch here. Example, amoeba, euglena, volvox are examples of Phytomastigophoria. Next, coming to Zoomastigophoria. Here chlorophyll is absent. The reserve food material is glycogen. Examples are Bodo, Giardia and Leishmania. But in your syllabus you are studying only up to classes level, because again each class has 7 to 8 orders. So many orders are there, but that you are not studying in your syllabus. You are studying only up to classes level. Phylum, subphylum, class, superclass with examples. So once again, Mastigophora is divided into Phytomastigophoria and Zoomastigophoria with examples we have seen amoeba, euglena, volvox, and under Zoomastigophoria it is Bodo, Giardia and Leishmania. Now we will come to second superclass, that is Opellinata. We have seen the organism of Opellina, right? Opellinata, they are mostly aquatic and they have winter rows of cilia. They are freely moving with the help of rows of cilia. Example, Opellina. So superclass Opellinata, here the body is covered by numerous rows of cilia for the locomotion, and the reproduction is by asexual as well as sexual, means asexual by binary fission or multiple fission. Example, Opellina. Now we will come to second superclass, that is third superclass of Mastigophora, that is Sarcodina. Sarcodina is again in turn divided into 3 classes, Rhizopoda, Pyroplasmia and Actinopodia. Once again, Rhizopodia, Pyroplasmia and Actinopodia. Sarcodina is a class where they are free living or parasitic, and they are reproducing by sexually or asexually, means, and they have flagella or pseudopodia for locomotion, and they have 1 or 2 nuclei, that is monomorphic and dimorphic. Now this superclass Sarcodina is divided into 3 classes, Rhizopodia. Rhizopodia are small body, their body of organism is very, very small. Example, Entamoeba. Entamoeba histolytica causes a disease called as amoebic dysentery. That will see the life cycle in detail. Pyroplasmia. Pyroplasmia are also small microscopic organisms and they are present in the red blood cells of vertebrates. Example, Allogromia and Panardia. Third, Actinopodia. Actinopodia are another class of Sarcodina, that is, they are consisting of bundles of microtubules. Example, Plasmodiophora. So, there are three classes of superclass Sarcodina: Rhizopodia, Pyroplasmia, Actinopodia. Examples, Entamoeba, Allogromia Panardia and Plasmodiophora. Now we see the characters of third subphylum, that is Nidospora. Nidospora, they are mainly parasitic. The organisms coming under Nidospora all are parasitic, and the spore formation, as the name indicates, Nidospora means the spore formation occurs throughout the life, and the trophozoite stages is mainly seen in these animals. Next, Nidospora is divided into two classes. One is Myxosporidia and second is Microsporidia. Myxosporidia. Here the trophozoite stage is seen, clearly seen, and they are mainly the parasitic on vertebrates called as fishes. Vertebrate animals called fish. They live in the body of fish as they are parasitic. So all animals belonging to this Nidospora are all parasitic, and they are parasites or they are depending on the vertebrate animals called as fishes, and they have one or two nuclei, monomorphic or dimorphic, and trophozoite stage is clearly seen. Next, coming to Microsporidia. Microsporidia, and in Myxosporidia they are unicellular or multicellular. Here also they are either unicellular or multicellular. Here they are depending on arthropods like worms, arthropods like insects, worms, bees, honeybees, butterflies, etc. So they are parasites on animals like arthropods to obtain the nutrition. So they are called as parasitic mode of nutrition, and almost all the organisms coming under this Nidospora are parasitic and they are producing spores throughout their life. All are parasitic and produce spores throughout their life. So this is about the third subphylum, that is Nidospora. Once again, Nidospora is divided into two classes: Myxosporidia and Microsporidia. Two classes only with examples we have seen. Now the last one, that is the fourth subphylum, that is Coeliophora. Now what is Coeliophora? Cilia means they have locomotory structures called cilia. Throughout the body they have numerous cilia for locomotion. So we have seen the characteristics of three subphyla and their classes with examples. Now the fourth type of subphyla, that is Coeliophora. The organisms belonging to Coeliophora are mainly free living parasitic or commensal, you can say. Commensal means they are living with commensalism process. Next, coming to what about their nutrition? Their heterotrophic mode of nutrition, depending on others for food, and the reproduction takes place by sexual as well as asexual reproduction, and here gametes are absent. Sometimes they take place by conjugation also. So Coeliophora, and locomotion is by cilia because body is covered by numerous cilia. Numerous cilia are present on their body for locomotion and the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Then coming to gametes are always absent and they are free living parasitic or commensal. Coeliophora is divided into a class called as Ciliata. It has only one class called as Ciliata. As the name itself indicates, Ciliata means here the locomotory structures are mainly the cilia. Locomotory structures are cilia, or locomotion is by cilia. As you know, they are either free living or parasitic or commensalism. They are free living, freely moving with the help of cilia, or parasitic, obtaining the nutrition from other organisms. Reproduction is by asexual and sexual. Asexual is by multiple fission, binary fission or transverse fission also. And nutrition is heterotrophic mode of nutrition. And the entire body is covered by plasma membrane. And example is so they reproduce a binary fission, multiple fission, transverse fission also. Example, paramecium, the most common example you have studied in your earlier or previous classes in the PUC. Paramecium, it has numerous cilia with the help of which you can move to different parts, different places you can move. So ciliata, subphyla Celiophora is divided into a class called as Ciliata. Ciliata example is paramecium because the body is covered by numerous hair-like structures called as cilia. And two types of nucleus, macronucleus and micronucleus. Macronucleus and micronucleus. Another example is Balantidium. Balantidium. So these two are, there are so many other examples of different orders, but orders are not studying in your syllabus. So this is the entire classification of phylum Protozoa. So what we have discussed today, protozoans are mainly unicellular, eukaryotic, microscopic organisms with phagocytic mode of nutrition, heterotrophic mode of nutrition, saprophytic, and they are having different general characters we have seen. Body is covered by plasma membrane or membrane, which gives flexibility, rigidity to the membrane. Then coming to the digestion is intracellular. Next, respiration is by different body surface, and the excretion is by osmoregulation. Then coming to reproduction is by multiple fission, binary fission, sexual, asexual, by conjugation as well as formation of gametes. Then coming to their response to stimuli, they have stigmotrophic, chemotaxis, phototaxis as well as chemotaxis. Then coming to the entire classification, the phylum Protozoa is divided into 4 subphyla, that is Sarcomastigophora, Sporozoa, Nidospora and Celiophora. So the 4th subphyla, that is Celiophora. Before that, the second class, that is Sporozoa. So sorry children, I forgot to tell you the classification of Sporozoa. So we'll come back to Sporozoa. The subphyla Sporozoa is divided into 3 classes. It is divided into 3 classes, that is Telosporia, Toxoplasmia and Haplosporia. The Telosporia are sexually reproducing organisms. They reproduce sexually. Whereas Toxoplasmia and Haplosporia, they are only reproducing asexually. They are asexually reproducing organisms. Even Haplosporia are also asexually reproducing organisms by binary fission, multiple fission or by transverse fission, and they are free living or parasitic. So the 3 classes are Telosporia, Toxoplasmia and Haplosporia. The example, Telosporia example monocystis, Toxoplasmia, Toxoplasma, and Haplosporia is Haplosporidium. After this we have seen Nidospora already, and then 4th one Celiophora, that is the one class only that is called as Ciliata. A very good example of Ciliata is Paramecium. So this is the entire classification of phylum Protozoa. So what all we have discussed today? So we have discussed about the phylum Protozoa, general characters and mode of reproduction, digestion or nutrition, their mode of reproduction by sexual, asexual, binary fission, multiple fission, etc. And then coming to their outline classification, it is divided into 4 subphyla: Sarcomastigophora, Sporozoa, Nidospora and Celiophora, which in turn again divided into different classes, and each class has different orders. But in order, for your syllabus you are not studying only up to order, we are studying only up to classes level with examples. So you go through this classification, the notes will be provided to you. Thank you.